So circles, to first derive the equation for a circle, if you remember when you're finding the distance between 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, we use this distance formula, right? Well, if you take for a circle, if you have a circle, if I can draw a circle, with a center as hk, and the point out here being the x2, y2, a point on the circle, this hk, if you're finding that distance for the radius r, if you plug that in, this being your x1, y1, you'll get that second equation there, right? X minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared. And then you square both sides to undo the radical. And that's where you end up with r squared equals the x minus h squared. In other words, a standard form of a circle, right? So here's your standard form of a circle, where r is the radius and hk is the center point of the circle. So for this first example, write the standard form of a circle with a center of negative 2, 3. Here's our hk, and here's our radius of 4. So let's plug in hk is negative 2, 3, and our radius is 4. So we're just going to plug that in. X minus the h, y minus the k equals the r, and our radius is 4 here, right? So in other words, graphically what's going on, this is negative 2, 3. Here's the point negative 2, 3, and it has a radius of 4. So I'm going to go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go up from the center, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go left, 4. I'm going to go down, 4, and I'm going to try and draw a very terrible circle because I can't draw circles. So let's finish out cleaning this standard form up. This is the equation for that circle. X plus 2 quantity squared plus y minus 3 quantity squared equals 16. Let me go ahead, and if you take a look at decimals, you'll see a nice circle for that. Maybe if I can pull up decimals, graphing calculator. Let's see, what was it? X plus 2, no. X plus 2, oh my goodness, the struggle is real. Parenthesis, there we go. There we go. There's the, so it has that center negative 2 comma 3 right there. In fact, let me put that point on there, negative 2 comma 3, and I'm going to label that. That right there is our center. And you can see that you get that radius of 4 there. Pretty snazzy. All right, let's go ahead and do it with this one. Now this time we've got a center of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 1, and a radius of 3. I'm going to go up 3, left 3, right 3. Looks like I'm a little off my graph, and down 3. I'm going to try and draw. Hey, that is not a bad circle. I'm kind of proud of that thing. And let's go ahead and write the standard form of this. Here's our hk. Here's our radius r. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals 3 squared. So we got x minus 5 quantity squared plus y minus 1 quantity squared equals 9. Well, how about if you're given the standard form? And first of all, take a look at what's your radius here. So notice our r squared must be 25. So let's go ahead and solve for the radius. So the radius must be 5. Okay, that's number one. Now, what's our h here? Well, the h is kind of tricky because it's x minus the h, and the h follows the minus, right? So I actually, if I have a plus, I like to write it this way. And so that you hopefully recognize that h is actually -1 here. -1, because I'm finding my center k. This is my center. So my h is -1. And over here, y minus 3. So the 3, y minus k, so the k is 3. So -1, 3 would be the center of this thing with a radius of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. 5 left. 5 down. Draw my consistently terrible circles. And that's what we got there. All right, let's try one more before we got to take a look at a kind of a crazy one with example 5. So example 4 here, x minus 3 squared plus y squared equals 13. Let me go ahead and write the standard form below it. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And let's go ahead on this one. Let's start with our center. And what's our center here? What's our hk? So the h is 3 here, x minus h, so x minus 3. So the center is hk, 3, comma, and then the k would be y minus 0, so the k's got to be the 0. 3, 0, right? So 3 zeros your center, 1, 2, 3. And then the radius, r squared, notice the r squared is 13. So the r is the square root of 13. Well, if you remember, the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. So this is 3 point something, a little bit closer to 4. 1, 2, 3 point something. 1, 2, 3 point something. Left, 1, 2, 3 point something, and down 3 point something. And you can kind of draw that circle there. Okay. So this one, notice this is kind of a mess. I want to have it in this form, and it's definitely, oh my gosh, that's terrible. X minus h, it's not in this form right now. So what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and write it. X squared plus y squared plus 10x minus 8y plus 16 equals 0. What I have to do is I got to complete the square here to put it in this form. So first thing, I'm going to take this constant over to the other side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the x's together, x squared, and then the 10x, and then I'm going to leave a space. And then I'm going to do the y squared and the minus 8y. I'm going to leave a space, and then at the end over here I have negative 16 now, over here. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this to be a perfect square. Okay, and so what I got to do is I got to think about what number do I need right here, do I need to add in to make this a perfect square? And the key is you take the 10, it's called the b term, you take the 10, you divide it by 2, and you square it. That's the number you want. So what we want is 5 squared. I want 25 there. So let me put that in. I'm going to put in a 25 right there. Now, I can't all of a sudden add 25 to this side without adding 25 to the other side. So make sure if you add it to that side, you add it to the other side. Now, if you look at this, this will factor, right? This factors into x plus 5, x plus 5. In other words, x plus 5 quantity squared. That's what I wanted. So my h is negative 5. Now I'm looking over here, and the question is, what do I need to add in here to make this a perfect square? So I take that same number, negative 8, the b term, divide it by 2, and I square it. Well, negative 4 squared is 16. So 16 is the number that I want. So let me add in 16. And if I add 16 to the left side, I got to add 16 to the right side as well. And now notice this factors into y minus 4, y minus 4. Or in other words, y minus 4 squared. And then we go ahead, I'm going to add all these up. Negative 16 plus 25 plus 16 gives me 25. And there it is. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So my center, my hk, would be, h would be negative 5, k would be positive 4. And r squared is 25, so the radius is 5. So negative 5, 4 is on my graph. And now I got to make it a radius of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, left 5, down 5. Try and draw my always terrible circles. And there you go. All right, this next one, we also need to complete the square in order to put it in our standard useful form, right? This is the form we want it in. And so what we're going to do is we're going to first take that plus 7 to the other side. Here, let me write it. So I have 2x squared plus 2y squared plus 8x plus 7 equals 0. All right, let me take the constant over first. And then let me put the x's together, leave a space. Let me put the y's together. I don't have any other y's. And then over here I have a negative 7. Okay, this is where we're at this point so far. Now, notice I have 2x squared. If you have that 2 in front right there, you gotta factor that out because I can't have anything in front. I need a 1 in front of my perfect square. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna factor out a 2 from both of these and then leave this space there. And same thing with the y squared, factor the 2 out, and that's just y squared space equals negative 7. And now we're going to complete the square. So I'm going to take that number, because I'm looking for, what I'm trying to figure out is what's the number that I need to put in to make this a perfect square. So it factors into a perfect square, right? Well, the question is, what number is it? Well, it's always that b term divided by 2 squared. So it's 2 squared, which is 4. 4 is the number that I need. Now, I added 4 to this side. And I know what you're thinking. Well, we got to add 4 to the right side. Not so fast. Be careful. We factored out a 2. So what we really added was 8. 2 times 4. So I got to add 8 to this side. Okay. Added 4. I really added 8. Okay. Over here, notice there's no y term. Like this is like 0y, right? So it's just 0 divided by 2 squared, which is 0. So I don't have to add anything. Because y squared factors into y minus 0 squared. So this one's already factored perfectly for you. Negative 7 plus 8 is a 1 over here. Let's go ahead and finish this factorization. 2. This factors into x plus 2, x plus 2. So there we are. 2x plus 2 squared plus 2y minus 0 squared, or y squared, equals 1. Now the only thing left we have to do is we got to get rid of this 2. So I divide the left side by 2, which means each term by 2, and the right side by 2. And now we're left with, I'm going to go up here. I'm sorry, you guys. Make it such a mess here, but I'm out of room. So now I have x plus 2 squared plus y minus 0 squared, or y squared, equals 1/2. And so now, that's my useful form, my standard form of a circle. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So h, the center, hk. H would be -2, k would be 0, so -2, 0. And then my r squared is a half, so I take the square root of a half, whatever that is, square root of 1 over square root of 2. Well, that's 1 over root 2. I should rationalize that. So my radius ends up being root 2 over 2, which is less than 1. So this is like this tiny little, tiny little circle right there. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this problem. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm supposed to write the standard form. That's your answer. You're not supposed to see that yet. Sorry about that. But you've got the endpoints here. We got 2, 6. 2, 6, and you got -4, -2. Okay, these are the endpoints. I can't draw that very well of my circle. And what I need to do is I need to find, I'm trying to write the standard form, right? So I want this form. So I got to know HK. I got to know my center, HK, and I need to know my radius, R, as well. Well, the center of this thing would be right there. You know, I got to find the center of that. Well, that's the midpoint. So number one, find the midpoint of those 2 points on the diameter. Find the midpoint of 2, 6 and -4, -2. So here's my x1, y1, x2, y2. The midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 over 2. It's the average of the x's and the average of the y's. So this ends up being the midpoint, which is the center of the circle, right, in this case. 2 plus -4 all over 2, comma 6 plus -2 all over 2. So that's -2 over 2, 1, and then 6 minus 2 is 4 over 2, which is 2. There's my HK. There's my HK. And so the radius would be from that -1, 2 to 2, 6, from here to here, right? This would be my radius, or you could do the other side. It doesn't matter. So that's our step 2, is find the radius. So radius is the distance from the center to one of the edges. So here's x1, y1, x2, y2. Let's go ahead and use our distance formula. x2 squared x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So x2 is 2 minus a -1 squared. Y2 is 6 minus the 2 squared. So we got 2 plus 1 is 3 squared, 4 squared. Well, 9 plus 16 is 25. So the distance, which is my radius, is 5. So now I have everything. I have my center, HK, -1, 2, and I have my radius, which is 3. So now, this is my last step. I got to write the equation of the circle. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So x minus h plus y minus the k equals radius squared. So I have x plus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals my radius. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm sorry. My radius is 5, not 3. 5 squared. There we go. I don't like that. I'll switch to blue. X plus 1 squared. 2 squared equals 5 squared, 25. There is the equation of that circle. All right. which is the answer I gave you earlier, which I had to scratch out. Right? Thanks for watching. Take notes. See you guys next time.